Welcome to another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Papergoy, and today we're going to talk about one of the upsides of reselling, and that is your mistakes. Believe it or not, as they say in life, when you get lemons, you make lemonade. And this book over here is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I was at a sale, and I saw it over on the table. It was an estate sale, and over on the table. And at some point, I'm going to do a long estate sale video telling you what to look for, how to make a lot of money at them, how to shop at them well, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of insider tips. It's on my to-do list, and it will get done at some point. I almost have to get my day job back because I'm so busy retired that maybe I just need a day job so I can find time to do stuff. From Whitman, it's got great illustrations throughout. And it is 1938 Walt Disney, so it's an earlier one. It's got a little crease, surface crease right over there, a little bumping. Not too bad overall. Now, when you go to the sales, a lot of times over on the table is some of their better stuff. And I don't know if this is going to show up or not, but this was marked, which a lot of places will mark on the inside of books, magazines, things like that. Very lightly in pencil, they will mark the price. So it's something rather to always know. Probably doesn't show up on there, but up there it's 1.5, lightly in pencil. So it was $15. Second day of the sale, $7.50. I had a pile of stuff that I was buying anyway. I said, it's Disney, 1930s. I'll take a chance on it. Ended up buying it, listing it. It did not sell at auction. Took about 3 weeks to a month to sell. I got a $15 plus shipping offer on it. I took it. I paid $7.50. So when you get down to it, I paid $7.50, sold it for $15. Take your fees out, take your packing supplies, which would have been covered by the shipping, et cetera, et cetera. Probably made $3, something rather like that. Which in the real world, if you get a 40% return on your investment in a month, you're doing unbelievably good. In the reselling world, especially at the lower levels that I tend to deal in, obviously it's a different story if you pay $1 million and you pick up a 30% thing in a month. Hey, great for you. But down at the lower levels, you definitely need a lot more than 30%. If you're working on 30% and selling, peddling $15, $20 items, you're not doing very well. You're going to go broke maybe not go broke, but certainly you're probably better off getting a day job in that instance, just overall, which is crazy to people not in the industry, because they're like, wow, you doubled your money. Yeah, if I double my money, I bought a $1 item and I turned it into $2, I'm not going anywhere. Not going anywhere at all, because they don't take into account the labor side of things. They also don't take into account the time value of money. Now, this one I happened to get lucky and it sold in 1 month. But you're saying, Papergoy, you promised this was going to be an uplifting video. So far, all I've had is doom and gloom, and you telling me why it's so terrible to make 30%. When you get down to it, this book over here was a mistake to purchase. When you get right down to it, I should not have paid $7.50 on this book. I did. I made 30 to 40%. That's on a bad buy. And when you're buying things, generally speaking, not that you don't occasionally get into something or other that you absolutely cannot sell, you didn't notice the heavy damage on it, you didn't notice it was missing pages, et cetera, but generally speaking, there's usually some way or other to salvage. And when a bad purchase gets you a 30% return in a month, imagine what the good purchases can do. And that's what you need to remember when you're a reseller. As long as you're buying on the lower end of things, and by lower end, I mean you're spending $10 and under on items, which you can easily do if you're doing the ephemera book area. You can easily spend less than that. Very rarely are you going to take a loss. And obviously, even then, and that's as long as you do your due diligence. I mean, obviously, you buy a magazine that's missing the cover, and it's some common magazine. Yes, you're going to lose money because it's not worth the $3 you paid for it, unless it's really, really old, or you can harvest it for ads, or you can harvest it for the illustrations. And even that is a good thing too. I've had that happen before, where I've purchased magazines as part of a lot and have harvested ads out of them, and I ended up making money out of them that way as well. There are just so many different ways to make money in this. And so many different venues. Some things sell better on Etsy, some things sell better on Whatnot, some things sell better on eBay, and so on. This probably should have been listed over on Etsy in retrospect, And if I do pick up a second one, that would be where I would list it at. You're saying, Papergoy, why would you list it over on Etsy? It's not a super common book, but it's a somewhat common book. That being said, it's going to stand out a little more on Etsy. There are going to be fewer of them over there. So you could sell something rather like that. And it's the kind of thing that would sell over on Etsy. So what I want you to do today is just realize that this is one of the few areas where even when you make a mistake, generally speaking, your worst thing that's going to come out of it is you're going to break even, assuming you sell the item. And of course, there are things occasionally you'll buy you just never sell, and so you're sitting on it forever. But that being said, when you sell an item, you're probably worst case scenario going to break even. Now, you can't do that often, obviously. You do have to make money in order to stay in business. But hopefully you get enough out of the park. And I'll give you another perfect example. There are times where I'll sit there and I'll buy a big lot of stuff. And what I try to do is I try to get minimally, if possible, if it's a decent sized lot of stuff, my purchase price out of the stuff I list on eBay, my purchase price stuff I list on Amazon, my purchase price the stuff that I list on Whatnot, and if it's got some older stuff on it, my purchase price minimally out of the stuff that I list on Etsy. I figure that way I've got 3-4 different venues where I'm making at least the money that I invested into the stuff, and usually obviously quite a bit more as well. Because even then, buying something rather than 3 times your money, you're still not generally going to be doing overly good because you've got the time value of money and you've got the fact that things don't fly off the shelf generally unless you're over on Whatnot, in which case obviously you can set them up and get the things sold right away. But hopefully that does help you a little bit. It's one of the few businesses that I can think of where as long as you're at the low end of buying, and again, $10 and under, and as long as you have some idea of what you're doing, you're always going to make money. And even then, if you don't have any idea what you're doing, there have been times where I've sat there and I've bought things, and I'll give you the perfect example. I showed on the live show the corn husker that I ended up buying, or corn shucker that I ended up buying, and I paid $5 for it. Worst case scenario, if I wanted to sell it, which I'm not, I'm going to keep it, it's still a $7 to $8 item. I sell it off, I lose $1 on it, something rather like that. And that was in something that I absolutely knew nothing about. And ask yourself this, is it worth $1 or $2 for the education? I would say yes. And now I know what it is. If I see it out there, I know what the price is because I did a bunch of research on it as well. I know to stay away from them unless it's a gigantic box of them. I know what they go for in general for a common one and so on. And I got all of that for $5 and some investment in time and reaching out to my network of people that I know. You can do the same thing. And certainly by all means, reach out to $1 Million Peddlers. We try to help people. hello@papergoy.com. You can ask us questions as well, and a lot of you do, and I definitely do appreciate that as well. So do hit the like button. I would appreciate that, and I will see you next video.